Right in the nick of time. Gonna give it on time.
All right, showtime.
Why we got two of these?
1, 3, 2.
Yep. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. March 22nd, 2024. The purpose of such a meeting like this, which I'll include a number of items, and appreciate you taking your time to come. And I have to take these glasses off to see back there, but I have to have them on, read up here, so you just help me out there. Any announcements on this side over here? Any announcements we need to be? Brother Antoine? Mr. Higdon? Anything else? Anything else? Okay. We'll do
Your microphone on, Mr. Chairman.
but it's probably, they don't hear me anyway. All right, Mr. Jenkins, a public hearing to consider entering into a private sale agreement to sell of county-owned property and provide incentive grant. Economic Development Commissioner, Mr. Tommy Jenkins.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For several months, we've been working with a company for an expansion project in Macon County. The company is an aerospace and defense company, which is a leading provider of repair and sustainment services for radar and military equipment related systems, as well as proprietary radar products. This company was founded 42 years ago and has been in its current location for 26 years in Macon County. They're currently operating with 35,000 square feet and 60 employees. The company I'm referring to is Duotech Services at the Industrial Park, one of our first residents of the Industrial Park. The project pretty much concerns their projected growth requires expansion and addition of approximately 50,000 square feet with a projected 95 employees over 5 years with an average wage of $82,144 per year. If you compare that with the state average, which is $65,000, and the Macon County average, which is $40,034 per year, you can see that that's quite a increase over average wages, which is good for the county. That would increase the county payroll approximately $7.8 million per year. So that would be $7.8 million going into our local economy. Also, a projected capital investment of at least $5.8 million that could go as high as $6.5 million over 5 years. This is a competitive project with a couple of other locations that have also been in discussions with this project. So it is a competitive project. We are competing against other areas. Basically, the county's local incentives and other actions would involve two things. Number one, the county would offer, with your agreement, would offer to enter into a purchase agreement with the company to purchase the existing Business Development Center, which is on 2.72 acres for the tax appraised value of $797,720. And that is compared to 2023 appraisal by Batson appraisers about July of last year of $740,000. So it is right in the appraised market value. This transaction would be scheduled to close within 90 days of the executed agreement with the county. Other incentives that we would provide locally, we would also enter into a 5-year incentive agreement with Duotech for $100,000 cash incentive that would be payable in 4 increments of $25,000. Each time the company achieve 1/4 of its job creation, they will be eligible for those incentive dollars. Those incentive dollars of $100,000 at 95 jobs comes to about $1,053 per job. So if until they reached that $25,000 mark. There are appropriate clawbacks in that agreement, which our county attorney, Mr. Ridenhour, has worked to negotiate that would require performance commitments of full-time employees and a direct investment in plant, property, and equipment. Also, the clawbacks would include reimbursing a pro rata share of the incentive payments equal to the unweighted average of the amount that the company falls short on at the end of the incentive agreement term, which is a 5-year term. This is a unique opportunity for Macon County. You don't see many jobs or many companies that are offering that kind of wage and that kind of direct incentive. This company was started in Macon County and has been a good corporate citizen. And in my opinion, it's a win-win situation for the company and the citizens of Macon County and our local economy. So I would think that we would, with counselors' assistance, I guess, do we need 2 motions?
Yes.
Okay.
So so we've got the first one is the proposed sale of the existing Business Development Center for $797,720. Again, we had that building appraised. It appraised at $740,000 according to a professional appraisal, but the tax value was at $797,000. In addition, there is a provision that if they do not, they're going to have to demolish that building. And in the event that they don't demolish it within 8 months of closing, then we have the right to buy it back for the same price. And so what that ensures is that this isn't a flip where they're going to buy it and they've already, let's say they turn around and sell it for $1.5 million or something, and we're like, no, wait a minute, that wasn't the purpose of this. The purpose of this was to provide for these 95 jobs and an estimated annual salary of over $80,000 apiece. And if they don't do that within 8 months of closing, then we can buy it back and we're back to where we were. But the incentive here is that they will, once they do that, they'll take a property that's worth approximately $800,000, reduce it to basically a $200,000 lot, and that shows that they've got the investment there where they've given up $600,000 worth of equity right there in order to construct what they plan to construct. So therefore, we've got some provisions there. Then on the incentive agreement, that just is the $25,000 a year only in the event that they create those jobs of roughly 25% per year.
And I guess technically we need a third motion, a budget amendment for $100,000 from general fund balance. I know we won't be paying all that out, of course, until they meet their goals, but in order for me to be able to pre-audit this agreement, it contemplates $100,000, so the funds have to be appropriated.
What was the second motion?
So first motion is the sale of the property. Second motion is the incentive agreement. Third motion is the budget appropriation.
Any further discussion from the board?
Each one of these jobs, the annual salary will be 85,000?
They're prorated over, some of them are higher. Some of the engineering jobs get up to, I think, 130, and then there's some administrative jobs that, you know, are less than the medium. So the average comes out at 80,000, 81,244, I think, or whatever it is.
Any further discussion?
Oh, yeah. So before we vote on it, and before we take the motion, we do need to, we would have to first come out of out of public hearing. And so if there's anybody signed up to agree or to speak about this, we'd entertain that first. Then we'd go out of public hearing and then vote on it.
So you need to open up public.
So if there's any just other questions you have for Mr. Jenkins, we'd do that now, and then we'd go on to public comment from the public.
And I do want to stress this is a proposal to do at TEC. They have some they have some negotiations with the state that are ongoing for incentives also. So those should be worked out really quickly, and they would be in a position to make a decision on these local incentives and the purchase agreement.
Anybody behind you there, Mr. Jenkins, public comment or anything from the public? Barry, anybody?
Is there any names on there?
No, nobody there?
What is the projected closing based on the state approval?
It would be 90 days from the executed purchase agreement.
Is that based on today's judgment?
Or whenever they sign. So we would expect that they would accept this, and we'd have signatures confirmed within the week.
90 days plus a week.
Ish, yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, do we make a motion to close the public session?
Correct.
So I'm make a motion.
Second.
I don't believe I can make the motion, can
I make a motion to come out of public hearing.
Second.
I? He's got a second. Any further discussion? All in agreement, raise your hand. What, we got 5-0?
That's what I thought from here.
Okay. Now, so we got 3,
Chairman, at this time, I'd like to enter into a private sale agreement of the, let's just call the property in discussion here at the industrial complex for the amount of $797,000.
720.
I'm sorry, 700 and,
$797,000.
well, I'm sorry, mine says, okay, 797, 720.
Yes.
Okay, mine says all zeros, okay. Please let the record reflect $797,720.
and that was your motion, a second.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the next one's incentive part. Motion on the incentive agreement. That was what, 25,000?
It's 100,000 over 5 years.
Okay, what's that, 25?
Go ahead. I'll second
Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion, we enter into our incentive agreement as discussed, as proposed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? If not, all in agreement, raise your right hand.
Chairman, at this time, I'd also like to recommend a motion for a budget amendment in the amount of $100,000 coming out of fund balance.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in agreement, raise your right hand. Okay. Mr. Jenkins, I believe we've got that whipped.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think this will be something that
Is there
you'll
something
be
else?
proud of.
I was just gonna, one more time, the capital investment of 5.8 million.
5.8,
And then so that's an investment, capital investment, and then what was the job creation numbers again?
Job creation numbers are 95 jobs at 82,144 per job, average wage.
95 jobs at 82,144.
Yeah, we're
per job.
244.
Have you ever seen, in all the years you've done economic development, has there been a bigger project like this come?
For an annual average wage, I'm not sure you've even seen one in Buncombe County.
So this is by far,
This is by far the largest in Macon County.
Did you say not even in Buncombe County?
Well, that, I would need to research that, but I've never heard of one. It's a big.
tremendous, this is a tremendous deal, and great, thank you and thank Eric, because both y'all worked very hard to get that put together.
Well,
I will say I do appreciate some of the detail on the clawbacks with the potential that this could have had the presentation of a flip
Yep.
on the backs of the taxpayers, and I think that was a good move. Whoever
That was our
Whoever
turn.
put that in there, that was good. I like
there,
that.
there were
He did-
lots
he
of
did a fine
discussion
job.
on this,
I
lots
just feel
of
like we could be
airport.
down a long, lonesome road if
Yeah.
we were to start that.
And that incentive, $100,000 is peanuts compared to what this investment is and the jobs it's,
That's
I mean.
true. Every,
so,
every, every
and-
economic development person I've talked to in the state thought that was a
Yeah, and
deal.
besides, they gave $50-some thousand more than the actual appraisal was to come up to the tax assessment. So realistically, that incentive is 40-some thousand, not.
And I do want to stress what we agreed to tonight is a proposal they have to. they
Win
have
all
to
the way
sign.
around.
Yeah.
Yep.
You heard any more
Gentlemen,
from-
thank you.
You heard any
Thank
more
you,
from the
Tom.
governor?
Governor doesn't call me very often, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, what you do. All right, Mr. Rowland, I believe you're on number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. This has to do with the Highlands renovation, pre-K and expansion. As you'll recall, we appropriated money in this year's budget for the architect to continue work up there on that project. They're about 80% complete, as I understand, with the plans right now. And of course, we're moving forward with the CM at risk up there. We'll be talking about that next on the agenda. But at this point, in this project, where the addition is going over, there is an oil tank that is there. So we have contacted the Kessel Group and have a proposal before you tonight. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to test the soil there. Kessel is. We're going to see what kind of soil it is. We're going to see, what the condition of that oil tank is, if it's leaked, and conversely, if it has, what do we have to do to remediate that, haul dirt out, bring new dirt in. But we won't know any of that until this is performed, but that is a logical next step. Right now is when you perform it. Of course, it's way better to find it now than when the project's going on. So with that being said, as you'll recall, some of you, about 3 years ago, we had this exact same situation at the school bus garage where we had to bring in the monitoring wells and look at the dirt there. But this will not hold the project up. The project will keep moving. At the completion of this project, there'll be an above-ground tank there, so we won't ever have this problem again. But nonetheless, it is just a step we have to go through. What we'll be asking here tonight is going to be a budget amendment, or we're going to have a budget amendment from fund balance in the amount of $10,000 to cover this proposal. The proposal includes $6,850 to perform these soil borings and $1,400 to go in there and pre-locate all the utilities in the tank before that goes on, to make sure, of course, nothing's damaged or punctured. That would certainly be bad if you hit the tank going down. So 10,000 will cover that. Of course, those two are 8250 together, but we included some contingency in there. So round number, $10,000. That will need to come in the form of a budget amendment from fund balance. And also, it would be to authorize me to enter into the agreement with Kessel and a budget amendment of $10,000 from fund balance.
On his proposal here, and I know we probably need action before we have a discussion, but at the bottom of page 1, it says, samples obtained from the 4 borings will be examined in our laboratory and visually classified. At this time, we do not propose to gather undisturbed samples or to perform laboratory testing. Is that a play on words, or what are, I mean,
Yeah,
if you don't do laboratory testing on it, why pull it out of the ground?
What this, again, comes from our architect as a recommendation. The architect has gotten with Kessel, and the construction manager at risk up there has gotten with Kessel as well. This is a proposal that all three of them agreed on, that we needed and would take care of the logic. This is the logical next step that we have to perform according to our architect and the CM at risk up there.
But there's no testing about the oil tank, though.
They will, yes, from what I understand, in my conversation with them on this proposal, that we are going to see what kind of soil's there. We're going to see if that tank has leaked. It will tell us if the tank has leaked, and if so, what measures are needed to remediate that. So this is, again, we've kind of been through this once before, and this is the same process that we did with the school bus garage. The first step is they'll come in here and they'll they'll locate the tank and the utilities, and they'll sample everything in there. And then after that, they'll make a recommendation on, hey, you can either you can take the tank out. You either have to take the tank out in the dirt, or it's this has leaked. It's gotten in, so you're going to have to take X amount out and bring X amount back in, and then all that. The next step, the next charge in this would be, if again going back to the bus garage, is when if it had leaked, then after that you have to monitor it and have an ongoing monitoring well cost. If it has leaked. But again, you have the first step before you get to any of that is to go and let them find it and examine what's around it, what kind of soil. And it's a two-part. It's not just for that tank. They're needing to do some testing again, because this is where that wing's going to expand onto. So they need to test the soil and see what kind of soil it is to begin with before they expand onto it. So it's a two-part deal.
I hadn't had time to review this that much, but it doesn't even mention an oil tank.
I mean, the way I read this is just a geotech report for a standard building construction. I mean,
But there's no mention of any oil tank or,
well, there's a reference in here to a tank, but I feel like they're looking for obviously 25 feet or auger refusal. And to me on here, it tells you the footprint size, whatever it was, 60 by 35 feet.
It shows you that.
Which obviously is a lot bigger than a fuel tank.
well, they're doing load bearing.
That's what I'm saying, it's a load-bearing geotech report, that they're
But
looking
they're not
for.
doing any laboratory testing, they're just doing a visual inspection. But I didn't see anything in here about testing for an oil tank.
Guess we just hope and pray it ain't leaking.
How do you tell if you're not testing for it?
Well, if it ain't there, then it ain't leaking, I guess. At this time, I don't feel like we can really deny, geotech report regardless, whether it be for oil or for soil bearing capacity. I feel like this time I'd like to authorize our county manager to enter into negotiations with Kessel Engineering to the amount of $10,000. That's in the form of a motion, Chairman.
Your motion also include the budget amendment from fund balance for $10,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I'm not happy with the scope, with the defined scope here. It says if additional footage in excess of 25 feet per boring is required to gather adequate subsurface information for foundation design, we will charge additional footage at a rate of $24 a foot. It's 100 foot to bedrock there. So, and it doesn't mention anywhere in the scope of work about the monitoring or checking for a leaking tank.
Any further discussion?
And that's a good point. I feel like at the end of the day, in my professional atmosphere, we've done a fair amount of this exact work right here. We read these most of the time, as you know, Mr. Higdon, cobblestones, 6, 8, 10 feet. I feel like if they're going 25 feet, they'll hit bedrock or they'll hit cobblestone. So I feel like what they're looking for is a geotech report to see what's under the ground. And I don't have any problem. I do agree the scope is probably not the best to find, but you and I both know they'll probably hit rock up there 10 to 15 feet anyways.
Any further discussion? All in agreement of the motion? Vote, right hand up. You've got 4-1. 4-1, you go 2, Paul? Okay. 5-0.
No, 4-1, you didn't ask for them. All opposed.
Okay, I thought he raised his hand to verify. He did raise his hand. Okay, all opposed? Okay. Anything else? All right.
Moving right along, Mr. Chairman, on Highland School renovation and expansion, we have before you tonight the pre-construction agreement for the construction manager at risk. Up there, again, just to rehash and not to rehash in too much depth, this delivery method, the construction manager at risk, it's new to all of us, but it is the recommended method after consulting with numerous architects and building contractors, especially for schoolwork and the type of work this is, working in an active school environment where you have a lot of things going on and there's a lot of moving parts to do with the project on an active campus. So with that being said, this contract, what this does, these CM at risk contracts, they're broken up into 2 phases. You have your pre-construction phase and then you have your construction phase. What this contract's for is for the pre-construction phase. And what that means is the architect up there right now is about 80% done with the plans. This construction manager at risk is going to come in. They're going to get with the architect go through the plans thus far and build that remaining 20% with them, fine-tuning it, looking for any opportunities of savings from scheduling to recommended materials, just working on our behalf. This contract's between us and them. So they're working on our behalf with the architect to try to bring that project in as close to budget as they can. So this contract before you, again, is for that pre-construction phase. Once construction begins, that's a whole separate agreement that we'll be into with them, and that's going to be based upon the guaranteed maximum price. The guaranteed maximum price is the product that will come out of this pre-construction agreement. And what that guaranteed maximum price is basically that contractor is going to as part of this, they're going to get with the architect, go through and finish those plans. Then they're going to put that out to bid. They're going to put each discipline, each construction discipline from HVAC to plumbing to electrical, all disciplines will be competitively bid and responded to, which we will have access to throughout the whole time working with this construction manager at risk. That was one thing that appealed to us. Again, it was a chance to be efficient, but it was also a good chance for accountability because we get to see every bid that comes in on every discipline, and we get to know exactly how they arrived at that guaranteed maximum price. So it provides us with that. Lastly, it ensures a smooth project. As I mentioned, it's an active campus. There's a lot going on, and the CM at risk takes a lot of the headaches with scheduling and delivery of things out of that So with that being said, this is as you'll recall, the Highlands, proposal is for $28,528 to perform just what I told you, to get us to a guaranteed maximum price. Once that guaranteed maximum price is established, that's what the construction contract's gonna be based on. And if it goes over that price, it's on them. They eat it. So again, that's why that it's such a crucial number. But nonetheless, at $28,528, if you're assuming a project cost of $5 million, this is about 0.6% of that, of that total project cost. And again, that's assuming that we're talking about a roughly $5 million project. But again, we're paying the $28,528 to find that out and work with them to see what that number is. You'll see the date on the back extends to September 1st of 2024, the timetable. It says they actually started work on 3/1, but it extends there to 9/1/24. So what that means is that we expect much sooner than that to have a guaranteed maximum price, and it behooves them, because they're on a fixed contract amount, it behooves them to get that guaranteed maximum price as soon as they can. So this 9/1 is in case that there's something that happens that was unexpected or unforeseen, and we have to go back to the drawing board and value engineer our project. If we have to make, what do we have to do to get this project within budget? That's why that timetable's on there. So this project still is moving fast, and probably will have to take additional action on this project, hopefully in April, if it continues moving at this rate. So again, I just wanted to go back over where we're at, because as you'll see, it pertains to the very next item as well. So I hadn't wasted too much of your time. But so the motion needs to include approving to authorize the county manager to enter in to the construction manager at risk pre-construction services agreement for the Highlands School addition and renovations with James R. Vanoy and Sons Construction Company. And we will need a budget amendment in the amount of $21,936 from fund balance. The remaining $7,132 that makes up that $28,528 is coming from the repair and renovation fund. As you'll recall, we are using repair and renovation fund money on the renovation portion of this project. So a quarter of that $28,528 will be paid for by the repair and renovation fund. So the ask to the county is only $21,936 rather than the $28,528.
Derek,
Yes,
that should be 21,396.
21,396,
Yes.
not 936.
Yes.
Okay.
21,396 is the budget amendment amount.
That comes out of the fund balance?
That would come out of fund balance.
Are we choosing to go this way because it's kind of guarantees us or gets us closer to staying on budget?
This will get us, yes, this gets us closer to getting the budget for the project, the actual budget that moves the project forward. Once they have a budget, the next thing we'll do is bring another contract in here, and that's the construction contract. And that's when we'll be saying, we're going to enter into a contract with them for, I think their rates are 6 to 8% of the total project cost for them to administer the construction contract. But before we can do that, we'll need to either decide, and that's what Ms. Kite, I was talking to her earlier, this project, we had discussed in our financial advisor when they came in, we've always talked about marrying these two and going as one, packaging them as one to the LGC, that's where the 70 million that we're borrowing came from. We've always packaged these together. This Highlands one is moving at a rate right now to where it might be best to separate that project out and go ahead and pay for it from fund balance. But that's a discussion for a later date. But this gets us closer to that. And we'll know in April, I think, if we need to head that direction, if it's best for the project. But right now, this just keeps us on course. It keeps the architect on schedule for what has been the anticipated timeline for that project.
Any further discussion? See, a motion. was it
Just a
made?
motion to execute the construction manager at risk agreement, for authorize me to execute that agreement, and an appropriation from fund balance of $21,396.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? This time, if you're in agreement, vote right hand. Opposed?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's 5.
Bad eye this way. Okay, Mr. Rowland.
Okay, moving right along to the construction contract for the Franklin High School campus and athletic complex project. This here, just what I was talking about, is the next step for to move the Franklin High School project forward. The pre-construction, all the benefits that I mentioned previously with the construction manager at risk for the Highlands project, it provides us that for this project as well. A matter of fact, when you're talking with these contractors and sitting through 3 interviews of the contractors that build these projects like this, they were telling us that 90% of the work they do is CM at risk. That is how prevalent this delivery method is on $100+ million project like the Franklin High School project. So when it comes to this project, it's definitely the construction manager at risk method is not only the way that we're going, but it's, as again, industry standard, it's the way that's needed to go on projects like this. So with that being said, this agreement, as you'll see that's before you, is, let me get it out here, it's a fee of $275,000. And again, it's a lump sum fee, and it does the same thing that we're gonna do on the Highlands project. That CM, there's 75% it done with the Franklin High School project plans. That CM is joining up with the architect at this time, going to go through the remainder of those plans as well as go through what the architect has done to make sure that budget is as fine-tuned and as cleaned up as it can be. Then they're going to take that, they're going to put that out to bid. They're going to, same thing as with Highlands, each discipline will be bid. You will see all responses to all bids. Again, that was something that, the accountability that this brought, the transparency that this brought us, again, is a favorable, is why we chose this delivery method. And at the end of the day, this gets us to a guaranteed maximum price. And that guaranteed maximum price is going to tell us, we've had numbers that we've talked about with Franklin High School. Our budget the number that we're currently basing our financing models on is $130 million. So this is the last step that will tell us what our Franklin High School is going to cost, because after that, we are ready to, at that point, to go to the local government commission. That will be what we're taking. That will be the gospel, if you will. Once we get that guaranteed maximum price, and again, barring scope changes that we request, it has to come in at that number. Anything above that's on them. This $275,000 fee, however, in speaking and talking with their leadership, 0.25% on 110 million is what this $275,000 represents. So that was their lump sum fee. They're going to provide all these services regardless of if it comes in at 100 million, 80 million, or 160. They're providing it on 110 million. That was a number that he had mentioned and said he would take 0.25% of that. So the timeline, if you'll notice back on page 2, number 6, this timetable goes, for this contract, goes to November 1st of 2024. And we're saying, well, we've talked about a lot sooner than that, and it is sooner than that. This, again, this works to our benefit, barring, if they get in there and they come back and they say this project's way over budget. That's another thing that the CM at risk delivery method, if you were to hard bid this, when you get all those hard bids back and everything's over budget, you're back to the drawing board. And then it's you're back to square one, really. But this will give us until September on this $275,000 fee to negotiate and work through that. Again, they work for us. They don't work for the architect. They're entering into a contract with us. Work on our behalf with the architect to try to get that project back within budget. And again, that is saying that it comes in over. We might be pleasantly surprised. We've heard a lot of good things about this delivery method that we're about to go through. So that is why that September date is on there. What we have received from them thus far on March 20th, the current timetable is that they will present the guaranteed maximum price to Macon County on August 5th of 2024. So in 2024, under this agreement, on August 5th, they're going to come in here and give us a guaranteed maximum price. That'll allow us to get in the September meeting of the LGC where our funding will be approved. And at that time, we anticipate mobilizing into September would be bulldozers on site. So that is the timeline that we have right now. And again, that is this thing's going to change, but as quick as we receive any change in it, it might not change. But this right here we know is if everything goes smooth, if everything goes as anticipated, no hiccups, the numbers come in that we're happy with, that we've budgeted for, that is how fast that this project can potentially move based on the first blush of Carroll Daniel Construction.
Mr. Manager, the only thing I'll really add to that is when we did the interviews and we had all the contractors standing up in front of us, one of the foremen stood up and he said, this is where we make all those lies and promises that the architects have told you come true. This is where, you actually have professionals that understand the trade and understand the real cost of construction, real cost of goods, and they're not behind a computer designing this. So I feel like this is why we've been jumping around so many times, is because the architect, they don't build houses, they just design them. Or they don't build schools, they just design them. So this is the piece we've been missing right here. And we can shift our cost or our budgeted cost at any point in time. So it's not necessarily fixed. We can steer that ship in any direction. So if anybody has any questions, I was fortunate enough to sit in the room with them and I did ask them several questions. So happy to take a few questions if I can help you out, but I feel like it's a delivery method. You have two delivery methods. You have a design, bid, build, which is a set of hard plans, and you turn in a price. You bid a home, and here's your price. Or you kind of build it as you go, and they kind of say, we're going to be transparent in every bid and every estimate and every piece of paper that gets turned into the contractor we get to see. Nothing's done behind our back. And so I feel like it's transparent as glass. I think that's why everybody goes that way anymore.
Between now and August 5th, do we have opportunities to try to get that $130 million down?
Oh, that's what they're doing. What they're doing is, see, the $130 million number that we're using is a number that the architect gave us when they were probably 60% complete with their plans. And again, like Commissioner Young said, that is an architect's estimate. These gentlemen, when they give us this price that we entered into the contract for on August 5th, they're going to say, this is what that cost. If it costs any more than that, then that comes out of our pocket. So that's what and so then, if we're good with that number, because that number is going to be based on hard bids for every aspect of the project that the CM at risk will do. So, that's the number that we go with, and that's why that if they bring a number back that we're pleased with, then by mid-October, they've got here October 16th, clearing of trees at Frogtown. So if everything is as planned, they bring us back the numbers that's within the budget that we've seen, that thanks to that grant, we're able to do that. The Highlands project, even at the 130 million number, without a tax increase. And I mean, but again, going back to what you said, yes, if everything moves, if we don't have any surprises, and that number they give us on August 5th, we like it, then at that time, it's time.
That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Lori, do you need a budget amendment on this one as well?
Yes, budget amendment from general fund balance for $275,000, along with authorizing the county manager to enter into this pre-construction
You got anything you want to?
services agreement.
You all right? This time, I'd like to make a motion, we authorize our county manager to enter into pre-construction services for the CM at risk delivery with Carroll Daniel Construction for the Franklin High School project and stadium, and I'll need an accompanying budget amendment of $275,000 from fund balance.
All right. Second.
Second. Any discussion? More discussion? All in agreement, raise your right hand. Opposed? 5-0? I can't see
5-0.
that. I can't see all that way, all right. Thank you, sir.
Get a mirror. Rearview mirror.
Okay, let's see where we are.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shields. As we move, we got the approval of bids for the solid waste equipment. We're glad to have Ms. Jamie Pugh here with us tonight from Solid Waste. And Jamie, welcome.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey,
That's Mom and Dad.
they're good, I guess. I'm here for the approval of award for purchase of one Cinnabogan 340G standard telescopic wheel loader. We sent out a formal request for bid, and we got one bid back from Cinnabogan in Stanley, North Carolina. It was determined responsive, and so Chris is requesting the Board of Commissioners accept the formal bid and award the purchase of one Cinnabogan 340G standard telescopic wheel loader with 36-month, 3,000-hour extended warranty to Cinnabogan in the amount of $260,215. The purchase was approved by the board for this budget in the amount of $250,000. So the solid waste will forward a budget amendment for $10,215,000 to the finance department so that a purchase order may be issued.
Jamie, can you operate this Cinnabogan?
I cannot very well.
Mama could.
Hmm?
Mama could.
Oh, cause she.
Now, so it looks like we budgeted $250 and it came in $12,000 higher, $10,000 higher.
Yes.
Where does that $10,000 come from, Ms. Lori?
He's gonna submit a budget amendment and move it around from other capital line items in his budget
his
to that line
department?
item. Yes, in his department, the solid waste fund.
I mean, I get it. Everything's going up. Bids only last for 30 days, sometimes 60 days, and that's how it goes.
And in this
I don't have a
case,
problem with that.
in this case, we only received one, but because it's equipment, when you're doing construction, you've got to have a minimum of 3. And of course, if you don't get 3, you rebid it, and if you just get 1, you're good, but equipment is different. General statutes, there's no minimum number of bids on equipment, so, there was no need for us to rebid it. The one bid is sufficient. Just needs your approval as the board, since it was a formal bid.
You think,
Have a motion on that?
I mean, it's,
This time, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the purchase of the Cinnaboggan. And I would like to request a budget amendment, $10,215 to the Finance Department for a PO.
And also, just kind of to add on to your motion that, and I may have, if I didn't hear you correctly, I apologize, just to make sure that we are awarding the bid to Cinnaboggan LLC for said Cinnaboggan. I know that may seem duplicative, but
Also, Chris just texted me, he said the cost was raised due to the extended warranty that they added onto it.
That's actually an impressive warranty.
Yeah,
Most of the time, it's 1 year,
it's needed,
1,000 hours, that's a good
needed.
warranty. Yes, ma'am, let the record reflect it's a Cinnaboggan piece of equipment in my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Vote, raise your right hand. Opposed?
Thank you.
All right, is that it?
adjourn.
Make it a ball game.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
It's not 9 o'clock yet, Coach. We're just getting
second,
here.
Mr. Chairman.
Anything else we need to bring before the board? Motion been made to adjourn, second. That you, John?
Yes, sir.
All right. All in agreement, raise your right hand.
Let's go. Tom.
Thank y'all for coming. Good to see you.